Hi everyone. So just recently, and I wish I knew how to put a picture in picture so I could show you. I recently bought the most adorable little butterfly house because I'm getting a lot of butterflies in my backyard garden. And then I went and I bought some of these fun black-eyed Susans, and they're really working, by the way. If you want to attract butterflies, they love these. Kind of interesting too. Their stems are fuzzy. Their leaves are fuzzy. Never noticed that. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so I really got inspired to paint a butterfly. So what I'm going to do first is just use one of my Ohuhu markers. This is a 0.05. I really wanted larger. 1 second. Well, you know what? We're going to use this. So I'm going to draw out my butterfly, and then I'm going to actually, I thought it'd be really fun to use my MAB metallics, and I'm going to use the Paul Rubens Pearlescents because I wanted to see them side by side. So I thought that might be kind of fun. So I'm just going to draw out. By the way, I'm using my Artisto pad. I've got a couple sheets left here. You know, I love these. I use them every day in my studio. This one is actually, I need to label that summer. 1 second, I'll do that now. Even look at the cover, isn't it gorgeous? So let's see, summer, and then I catalog all these. And next summer, I will probably pull it out and see what I was doing this year. A lot of times I put swatches and things in here too. Look at all these fun things, my eucalyptus. So they're quite handy. There's a little bee. I don't know why I didn't end up using that. Anyway, so I'm going to put my butterfly in here. This paper, by the way, too, has some great texture. And if, you know, I do want to gift it, it is perforated. So I can go ahead and tear it out and gift it to somebody. But I love these little journals. All right, I'm going to be using as well my brush that they've pushed it back a little bit. It's probably not going to come out till September now, but excited to share those with you. So I'm using my version I designed kind of after that long round Princeton 8 brush. And then I've got my Meeden ceramic wash water. As you know, I love those. I've never tipped this over. It just feels nice on my studio desk too. It's nice and clean and white. Well, my palette isn't clean and white, but I almost hate to wash my palette. So I leave them for a long time because a lot of times I have paint in my ceramic dishes that I'll use over and over again. So using that, okay, so that's everything. And then of course my Ohuhu markers, which I really love. You get this whole set. Let me see if I can find it here. I've kind of picked through them, but these are, I love these because they give you in this set a lot of different sizes, and they're permanent. They don't, they dry really quick. You don't get any smearing because they're waterproof. So I really like their fine liners. So that's what I'm going to be using. Now, if you're using like a real rough paper, it does just fine with this Artisto paper, but if you're using a rough paper, it can be a little bit hard on your tip, so just be careful of that. So, and I think I used this the other day in my paint that wasn't completely dry, and so it kind of messed up my tip a bit. Actually, let me grab another one because I don't know if you can see that. I've been traveling so much with my paints that my pens are kind of everywhere right now. Let's see, that's a 0.5, 0.7. Let's try that one. I want you to be able to see it. I normally would just use pencil very lightly, but I want you to be able to see these. And here, that's better, I think. So hopefully you can see that. I'm going to go over this. I also, you know what? I'm just going to confess, I many times will draw my butterflies on their side because for the life of me, I can't get their wings even on if I do it opened up. I know, silly. So I tend to do them on their side, and that's easier for me to draw. And here's its little head. Okay, so there's my butterfly. So I'm going to do a couple of the wings with, I just thought this was fun for me. The holographic series MAB, so pretty. And I'm going to mix those with my pink. So I think, I hope you can see that. See all that glitter? So I'm going to use these two colors for my butterflies. The violet red and the turkey blue, and I'll mix in my MABs, and then what I'll do is, as you know, love the Paul Rubens. I'm going to use my Pearlescents, which I kind of wanted to do that because I had a few of you asking me, well, what's the difference between, I shared these Paul Rubens metallics the other day. Oops, this is the wrong one. One second here. Let me find them. They said, well, what's the difference between those and the MABs? Well, there is a difference, and I can link my tutorial I did on the Pearlescents. These, as they call them, they're much more opaque with my experience, and they have more of a pearly, beautiful, kind of iridescent look more than sparkles, which is what the MAB I have found. They also have like this beautiful luminosity and luminousness that I love, but I think these are a little bit more opaque and definitely have more of a pearly look. So I'm just going to give them a quick squirt here. I love their colors, by the way. And as you know, I am a huge MAB fan, but these are different. So I'm going to do 2 wings with those, 2 wings with the holographic MABs, just because I was kind of curious what the difference might be. Okay, I've got my paper towel here. Let's see. Let's do the front wing. Let's start with this one here. And I'm going to use let's see, I have a swatch sheet of these. So the other thing I noticed too is with the Paul Rubens, you could definitely use both the MABs and these on their own, but I feel like these you could use, because they're a little bit more opaque, they might be a little bit easier to use on their own. See how dark they are? So I'm just going in with the tip of my brush and about 50 water, 50 pigment. And then what I'm going to do here, rinse my brush, tap it off so it's just wet, and I'm going to go in and just feather that out. And I do that by wetting my brush and then just with a kind of a thirsty, damp brush. So very little water. I've tapped off a lot, and I'm going in there and just feathering out that edge. And I'm actually going to go in with a little bit more of that dark. And you could tilt your paper here too, for sure. Tap off. And just kind of encouraging it to spread out a bit. I don't like those hard lines, so I tend to get rid of those. Okay. And as you can see, the other thing I really noticed too is it felt like to me the Paul Rubens Pearlescents were a little bit grainier, as you could see. Not good or bad, just something I noticed. There we go. And then I think what I'll do on this top border is use their, let's see, where's my little swatch sheet? I always keep these little, yeah, that's pretty. Swatches so I can kind of see what color I want to use. So that's too close to what I've already got there. That's pretty, but I want a little bit more contrast. So I think I'll use one of those. And I'm going to go up into the top here. So see how pretty dark that color, their paints are. And you'll see the difference when I go to use the MABs. And I'm actually going to mix my MABs with my color. So I'm using a very light touch with just the tip of my brush, and look how fun and pretty that is. So there you go. A basically pretty dry brush. Okay, and I'll show you in a minute. So I think once that dries, you'll see that kind of pearlescent color. Now let's go in, and I'm just gonna try and mix similar colors. So let me let's grab my MeiLiang palette here. And let's see, that was like a pinkish color. So I'm gonna go into my rose red, and let's just find a place for that. I'm gonna mix it with that actually. So there is my MeiLiang's rose red, and this was just something I kind of wanted to do and I thought might be fun to share. And then what I'll do is wash and rinse my brush, and I'm going to go into the MABs, mix it in. So now I've got that sparkle. So that is one thing I really noticed is the MABs are much more a sparkly effect. The Paul Rubens are much more of like a pearlescent effect. So let's just go in here, and I'm gonna try and, as close as I can, use the same technique. I don't want to get too close to this because it's wet still. Okay, wash, rinse my brush, tap it off so it's somewhat got water in it, but yet it's not puddly. Okay. So I'm already noticing the two differences. Again, never good or bad. It's just kind of what your preference is. So let me go in and kind of pull that out a bit. And then I'm going to go in before this dries, and then I'll show you kind of some differences here. Let me grab, oops, wrong palette, that turkey blue. Every time I use that turkey blue, I think about our discussion around that. Okay, and then I'm going to add in the same, God, my water is so pretty, you guys. I have all these metallics and things in there. So the other thing with these, when you add the holographic MAB sparkles, it does lighten the color just a little bit. And then let's just go in, not much, but it does a little bit. And just go along the edge here. And now that I've done that, I'm gonna wash and rinse my brush, tap it off. So it's just, I call it a thirsty brush. It's damp. And now I'll start bringing in, look how pretty that is. You know what I love here too is the blues mixing like it did here with the pink, and it's kind of getting these purpley colors. Look how pretty, you guys. So I don't know, I hope you can pick it up on the camera, the difference there. I'm gonna go in and put another glaze here, and let's actually go in here and go ahead and do the same technique. So this is the Paul Rubens, the Pearlescents, really pretty. I'm going to try and get it a little darker value so there's a difference between this and that. And then wash, rinse my brush, tap it off. And you could also do that push-pull technique. When I'm doing this, adding water in like that too, the other thing I will do is rinse off my brush a lot, because when you're doing this, you're picking up some of that color. Okay. There we go. And now I'll go in and add that blue. Oop, I didn't mean to add it there. Darn it. That's okay. So when you use this Paul Rubens full strength, you do have a lot more opaqueness. The MABs tend to be, I gotta kind of feather that out now that I already went and put it there so it doesn't dry. The MABs tend to be a little bit, like I said, more sparkle and a little bit more translucent. So I tend to use them mixing with my colors more than on themselves or even as a glaze. I'm just going in, picking up a little bit more, tapping it in. And then I'm going to let this dry. And then I'll go back in. Okay. So already I can see just different, just a different look. This is a little bit grainier, which a lot of people love. I don't really have a preference. It's just different. This is a little bit smoother and definitely has, I really hope you can pick that up, a little bit more sparkle. But these are just being sold as a pearlescent, not necessarily a sparkle like the MAB. So go in, oops, don't want to use that. Where is my pink paint? Here it is. And I'm going to go in, trying to just avoid touching into this because it is wet. And then I'll go in with my damp paintbrush and start pulling that out. I'll probably put a second glaze over these just because I do want them to be a little bit darker. Just washing and rinsing my brush. A little darker value because they are in the background. So I almost want them to look like they have a bit of a shadow on them. And then while that's wet, I'm going to go ahead and go in and add that mix of turkey blue and the holographic. Look at that. Isn't that fun? I love watercolors, you guys, obviously, right? Otherwise, why would I be doing this? But this truly is the stuff that keeps me up at night. I think I thought of this last night and I got up and I even wrote notes so I wouldn't forget today because I wanted to make sure I remembered how I was seeing it in my head. So there you go. I am going to put another coat on here. Let's see if that's dry. It's pretty dry. I'm going to go ahead and go over it. Loading my brush with the Paul Rubens. So I get another glaze there, wash and rinse my brush, and then let's leave that kind of pretty much how it is. I softened the edge a little bit, but let's go in right away with that blue. Because I want you to really see that opalescent effect here that's so pretty. There we go. So I'm gently mixing them just a tiny bit. There we go. So you can kind of see that. Let's do this bottom wing. I really want you to be able to see that pearlescence because it really is pretty. And then I'm going to go in with that blue. And I love how they mix together and create that purple. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. I don't know where that came from. I've had more allergies and stuff this year. Okay, so there you go. And look at, by the way, how well this paper's holding up to all this water. So I could even go in and put another glaze there, but I want to go into this right now and just do a little bit, same thing. I'm going to pick up that rose red. There we go, about 50-50, 50 paint, 50 water. And then I'll go in, excuse my arm, cross there, and pick up some of that holographic and add that in there. Isn't that pretty? It's even pretty in the palette. I know, you guys, I have a problem. I'm obsessed with these glitter sparkled things. And I almost don't really want to necessarily add another layer because I want there to be a difference between the two, but here we go. Because I want you to be able to see the difference between these two paints. And actually, I wanted to see the difference. So wash, rinse my brush. Now I'm going to go in with that blue that I already made. And I'm using the side of my brush, by the way, which I do that a lot. Because I can cover more area. And I don't know, it just tends to be a brush stroke I use. So again, not a huge difference here, but a slight difference. I definitely see more sparkles and more of that kind of abalone type shell look. And then go in one more time here. Now I've got a little too much paint there. As you can see, there's a little bit of a puddle. I don't like that. That's okay though. And then tap off my brush, pick up that blue. I could even leave it like it is. There we go. Butterflies are so fun, aren't they? And then normally I would almost, I won't do it here in this video, but I want the front wings to be darker because this kind of is this weird feeling for me. Usually darker values, which these are right now, come out in front, but yet they're tucked behind. So it's giving me this weird contrasting, uncomfortable feeling. So after I turn this off, or I might do it in here, I will make these darker than those. But here, I hope you can see the sparkles. And let's just do his little body. I think I'll do his body in that blue. I'm using the Paul Rubens. So look at how opaque it can get. It's actually can even cover up some of my black pen. If this is dry, I'll go ahead and put one last coat. So going into my pink. I always love the color names that Paul Rubens comes up with. They're pretty interesting. And I'm going to darken this just so it's darker than the back wings. Otherwise, it's kind of a weird perspective feeling. There we go. Now I'm going to pull those with just the tip of my brush that's damp up. Like that. And go into that top part with the blue. So this is all those layers I talk about a lot. And now just a damp brush. So I rinsed most of the water off, anchored my hand, and now I pull that down. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty? Really fun, you guys. Okay, let's do his, I think I'll just use my Ohuhu marker for his little antennae. Let's see here. There we go. Isn't he cute? Now, I might even go into that afterwards and do some little lines and such. The back wings are still a little bit darker to me, which I really would rather the front ones be darker. But that's okay. I could go in and put yet even another glaze on there. And then if I want, I could add in one of these Black-Eyed Susans. Boy, that would be a lot of contrast though, right? Let's just play with that. So let me use, let's see. Let's do a yellow. Actually, let's use this gold. Oop, not that one, this one. That's more of a bronze. I didn't practice this beforehand, guys, so. There we go. And let's put that right here. So I think what I'll do is draw in the bottom of my Black-Eyed Susan, wash, rinse my brush, tap it off so it's just got some water in it, but not too much. And then I'm using the point. I feel like this needs to be bigger compared to the butterfly, I guess, right? Wash, rinse. And then I'm gonna pull out. Now keep in mind, what I find is metallics don't quite move and flow like regular watercolors. Now, I'm kind of laughing to myself because this flower, if it was really in perspective, would be quite a bit bigger, obviously, compared to the butterfly. But I'm just playing here, so that's fine. There we go. And then I might add in, I'm gonna grab this paint now. So I'm really mixing the two of these, which is always kind of fun and exciting for me. It's really, the Black-Eyed Susans I have here have this burnt sienna type color in them right here. So I wanna grab that and just maybe tap in there. There we go. And I could maybe even pull out a little bit of that into my petals. So it is much easier. I'm gonna get a little bit darker with that brown. So I'm gonna use a little bit of my Van Dyke brown. And create that little dome. There we go. And yeah, I like this. My Black-Eyed Susans are a lot lot more yellow, orangey yellow ochre, but you know what? I like the warmth with my bright butterflies, so that's a nice contrast for me. And then let's just do the stem. Again, we can use our green here. There we go. And point press, point press. There we go. Look how fun. Isn't that exciting? I'm telling you, you guys, I know. I say this all the time, but I just love everything about watercolors. I put a little bit of yellow on my brush. Just felt like I wanted to add a tiny bit of that in. There we go. Look how fun. And now I feel like you can see a little bit of a difference. I can't see in the camera what I'm showing you, but some of the luminosity in these front wings and then some of the sparkle in the back wings. I hope you can see that difference. All right, everybody. Well, that was fun. I hope you play a little bit with some of these metallics, which are the MAB. I love mixing them with my colors. And then, of course, the Paul Rubens Pearlescents, which are so beautiful. I really do like the colors they chose. I think they're perfect. I could just carry this. It's very portable. What I typically do with my MABs is I'll carry a few of them. And so anyway, there really is a lot of sparkle in these. These are more of a luminescence. All right, have fun, everybody, and happy painting. By the way, I will list all of these supplies in my link below, in my description below. I get a lot of questions about those all the time, and I'm always adding in that information, by the way, to my description. So you can find that there. You can get my free ebook link down below. My brushes, which will be available in hopefully the 1st of September. I have the link if you want to join the interest list for those. And happy painting. Thanks for being a part of my little group here. All right, have fun.